Hello, my name is Aubrey. I'm so glad you're here. Let's talk about my most anticipated books for this upcoming fall season. There are so many good books coming out this fall that I am so excited for. I'm gonna start with two that have actually already come out, and they came out this August. First is Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid, which came out on August 6th. I really enjoy Ava Reid and her writing, and this is a reimagining of Shakespeare's Lady Macbeth, giving her a voice, a past, and a power that transforms the story men have written for her. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year, so I'm hoping to get to it sometime in the fall season. Second up, I have A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. T. Kingfisher has quickly become one of my favorite authors, and I am really excited to read this. This is a Goose Girl retelling rife with secrets, murder, and forbidden magic. Again, this one has already come out. This came out on August 20th, but I need to get my hands on it soon so that I can read it post haste. Alright, so as for actual fall releases, first up I have Immortal Dark by Tigist Girma. This comes out on September 3rd. The Cruel Prince meets Ninth House in this dangerously romantic dark academia fantasy where a lost heiress must infiltrate an arcane society and live with the vampire she suspects killed her family and kidnapped her sister. Kedan Adadne lives in a world where human bloodlines gain power through vampire companionship. When her sister June disappears, Kedan is convinced a vampire stole her, the very vampire bound to their family. Kedan must infiltrate the elite Uxley University, where students study to ensure peaceful coexistence between humans and vampires. When a murder mirroring June's disappearance shakes Uxley, Kedan sinks further into the ruthless world of vampires. There she discovers a centuries-old threat. To save her sister, Kedan must bring Uxley to its knees and either break free from the horrors of her own actions or embrace the dark entanglements of love and the blood it requires. This one sounds just really dark and really twisty and fun. I've really been craving vampire novels, which we'll see some more of on this list. Early reviews for this have been promising, so I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on this one. Next up, I have Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This comes out on September 10th. This is the sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which I am currently in the middle of, so I did not read a synopsis for this book because I didn't want to spoil myself. The first book, though, is about a sort of uptight, by the books, you know, cross your I's, dot your T's, caseworker who is sent to this orphanage full of magical children where he is supposed to be making sure that the children are well cared for. And it's kind of about how these children sort of worm their way inside his heart. It's very sweet. I'm enjoying it very much, and I'm really looking forward to this sequel. Next up, I have So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. This comes out on September 10th. Sloane Parker is dreading her birthday. She doesn't need a reminder she's getting older or that she's feeling indifferent about her own life. Her husband surprises her with a birthday weekend getaway, not with him, but with Sloane's longtime best friend, troublemaker extraordinaire Naomi. Sloane anticipates a weekend of wine tastings and cozy robes and strategic avoidance of issues she'd rather not confront, like her husband's repeated infidelity. But when they arrive at their rental cottage, it becomes clear Naomi has something else in mind. She wants Sloane to stop letting things happen to her, for Sloane to really live. So Naomi orchestrates a wild night out with a group of mysterious strangers, only for it to take a horrifying turn that changes Sloane's and Naomi's lives literally forever. The friends are forced to come to terms with some pretty eternal consequences in this bloody, seductive novel about how it's never too late to find satisfaction, even though it might taste different than expected. I don't know, this one just sounds really cheeky and fun. I really like the tone of voice in the synopsis, so I'm excited for this one, and I hope it's good. Alright, next I have A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. This comes out on September 17th. A sharp-tongued folklorist must pair up with her academic rival to solve their mentor's murder in this lush and enthralling sapphic fantasy romance. Lorelei is a folklorist on an expedition in search of a fabled spring. This magical spring promises untold power, which the king wants to harness to secure his reign. The expedition gets off to a harrowing start when its leader is murdered in her quarters aboard their ship. The only person Lorelei knows must be innocent as her longtime academic rival, the insufferably gallant and maddeningly beautiful Sylvia von Holf. Now in charge of the expedition, Lorelei must find the spring before the murderer strikes again. But there are dangers lurking in the forest that rearrange themselves at night. rivers with slumbering dragons waiting beneath the water, and shape-shifting beasts out for blood. As Lorelai and Sylvia grudgingly work together to uncover the truth and resist their growing feelings for one another, they discover that their professor had secrets of her own, secrets that make Lorelai question whether justice is worth pursuing, or if the kingdom is worth saving at all. Oh, this one just sounds really, really good. I like the mystery elements, and I love a dark forest. So, you know, a forest that rearranges itself at night and rivers with slumbering dragons. It sounds really good. I'm very excited for this one. All right, next up I have We Kept Her in the Cellar by J.R. Gorman. This comes out on September 24th, and this is a horror Cinderella retelling. So there are always two sides to a story. This dark and twisted reimagining of Cinderella, told from her stepsister's point of view, is perfect for fans of T. Kingfisher and Naomi Novik. Eunice lives her life by 3 simple rules. 1. Always refer to Cinderella as family. 2. Never let Cinderella gain access to rats or mice. 3. Never look upon Cinderella between the hours of 12 and 3 a.m. This just sounds like a lot of fun. The T. Kingfisher and Naomi Novik comparison sort of turned my head because I love both of those authors. I'm expecting this to be dark, I'm expecting this to be funny, and maybe a little gruesome. We'll see. Alright, next I have a very anticipated one for a lot of you, and that is Air by Sabaa Tahir, and this comes out on October 1st. Apparently this is set in the same world as An Ember in the Ashes, and you really should finish that quartet before reading this, which is a little bit disappointing because I haven't finished it. I'm only 2 books in, so I won't be able to pick this up right away, which is a bummer. But alright, so an orphan, an outcast, a prince, and a killer who will bring an empire to its knees. Beloved storyteller Sabaa Tahir masterfully interweaves the lives of 3 young people as they grapple with the burdens of power, the treachery of love, and the devastating consequences of unchecked greed. Get ready for a dark and breathless journey that will captivate readers and that may cost these young people their lives and their hearts, literally. Next, I have A Song to Drown Rivers by Anne Lang, and this comes out on October 1st. Inspired by the legend of Zixi, one of the famous 4 beauties of ancient China, A Song to Drown Rivers is an epic historical fantasy about womanhood, war, sacrifice, and love against all odds. Her beauty hides a deadly purpose. Zixi's beauty is seen as a blessing to the villagers of Yu, convinced that the best fate for a girl is to marry well and support her family. When Zixi draws the attention of the famous young military advisor Fan Li, he presents her with a rare opportunity to use her beauty as a weapon, one that could topple the rival neighboring kingdom of Wu, improve the lives of her people, and avenge her sister's murder. All she has to do is infiltrate the enemy palace as a spy, seduce their immoral king, and weaken them from within. Once inside the enemy palace, Zixi finds herself under the hungry gaze of the king's advisors, while the king himself shows her great affection. Despite his gentleness, a brutality lurks, and Zixi knows she can never let her guard down. But the higher Zixi climbs in the Wu court, the farther she and Finley have to fall, and if she is unmasked as a traitor, she will bring both kingdoms down. Early reviews for this have been glowing. I'm really excited for this. This sounds super interesting to me. It sounds very tense. I really tend to love court politics, but spying and maneuvering and manipulating, so it sounds like this is going to be full of that kind of stuff. I'm really excited for this one, and I hope it lives up to those early reviews. Next up I have The Bog Wife by Kay Chronister, and this also comes out on October 1st. There are a few coming out on October 1st. In this atmospheric Appalachian Gothic, the Hadley siblings of West Virginia must unearth long-buried secrets to carve out a future when the supernatural bargain intertwining their fate and their ancestral land is suddenly ruptured. Since time immemorial, the Hadley family has tended the cranberry bog. In exchange, the bog sustains them. The staunch seasons of their lives are governed by a strict covenant that is renewed each generation with the ritual sacrifice of their patriarch, and in return, the bog produces a bog wife. Brought to life from vegetation, this woman is meant to carry on the family line, but when the bog fails or refuses to honor the bargain, the Hadley siblings, still grieving the mother who mysteriously disappeared years earlier, face an unknown future. Brimming with aching loss and the universal struggle between honoring family commitments and the drive to strike out on one's own, The Bog Wife is a haunting invocation of the arcane power of the habits and habitats that bind us. This is tagged as a horror Gothic fantasy on Goodreads. I'm really, really excited for this one. I just feel like the name alone, The Bog Wife, is just has me very intrigued. The cover is also gorgeous. And again, early reviews for this are pretty high, so I'm excited. It just sounds really weird. You know, every once in a while, I like something really weird. Next up, I have Model Home by Rivers Solomon, and this comes out on October 1st. Welcome to River Solomon's dark and wondrous Model Home, a new kind of haunted house novel. The three Maxwell siblings keep their distance from the Lily White Gate enclave outside Dallas where they grew up. When their family moved there, they were the only black family in the neighborhood. The neighbors acted nice enough, but right away, bad things, scary things, the strange and unexplainable, began to happen in their house. Maybe it was some cosmic trial, a demonic rite of passage into the upper middle class. Whatever it was, the Maxwells, steered by their formidable mother, stayed put, unwilling to abandon their home, terrors and trauma be damned. As adults, the siblings could finally get away from the horrors of their home, leaving their parents all alone in the house. But when news of their parents' death arrives, Esri is forced to return to Texas with their sisters, Eve and Emmanuel, to reckon with their family's past and present, and to find out what happened while they were away. It was not a natural death for their parents. But was it supernatural? River Solomon turns the haunted house story on its head, unearthing the dark legacies of segregation and racism in the suburban American South. Unbridled, raw, and daring, Model Home is the story of secret histories uncovered and of a queer family battling for their right to live, grieve, and heal amid the terrors of contemporary American life. River Solomon is an author that I have been meaning to read for a while. They have several books that have been very interesting to me. In fact, I already have Sorrowland by them, though I haven't read it yet, but this just sounds so amazing. I cannot wait to read this. I love a good haunted house horror story, and I just feel like this is gonna go so much deeper than that, and it just sounds really good. I'm really looking forward to this one. All right, next up I have The Fury of the Gods by John Gwen, and this comes out on October 22nd. This is the third and final book in the Blood Sworn saga. This is a Norse-inspired trilogy packed with myth, magic, and bloody vengeance. I put it on the list because as somebody who waits for a series to finish before reading them, the fact that this is the last book means that I finally get to read it. I know a lot of people really love John Gwen and they really love this series, so I'm excited to check it out. It's been a while since I've read anything Norse inspired, so it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Next up, I have Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews, and this comes out on October 29th. High school senior Andrew Perrault finds refuge in the twisted fairy tales that he writes for the only person who can ground him to reality, Thomas Rye, the boy with perpetually ink-stained hands and hair like autumn leaves. But something strange is going on with Thomas. His abusive parents have mysteriously vanished, and he arrives at school with blood on his sleeve. Thomas won't say a word about it and shuts down whenever Andrew tries to ask him questions. Stranger still, Thomas is haunted by something, and he seems to have lost interest in his artwork, whimsically macabre sketches of the monsters from Andrew's wicked stories. Desperate to figure out what's wrong with his friend, Andrew follows Thomas into the off-limits forest one night and catches him fighting a nightmarish monster. Thomas's drawings have come to life and are killing anyone close to him. To make sure no one else dies, the boys battle the monsters every night. But as their obsession with each other grows stronger, so do the monsters. And Andrew begins to fear that the only way to stop the creations might be to destroy their creator. I follow this author on Instagram, and so I've been anticipating this book for a while. I love the cover. The premise sounds really good, and again, early reviews are pretty high, so I'm excited for this one. I hope it's good, and it just it sounds dark and creepy and just like the perfect fall read. Next up, I have The Lotus Empire by Tasha Suri, and this comes out on November 1st. And this is another trilogy finale. The first book was The Jasmine Throne, and I have really been excited to read this series. It's a sapphic fantasy trilogy. The tagline for the first one is a new trilogy set in a world inspired by the history and epics of India, in which a captive princess and a maidservant in possession of forbidden magic become unlikely allies on a dark journey to save their empire from the princess's traitor brother. So yeah, another trilogy that I can't wait to get into. And next I have The Court of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson, and this comes out on November 2nd. This is her first adult novel, which is very exciting. exciting. I'm a huge fan of Mary E. Pearson, and I'm really, really excited for this. From New York Times bestselling author Mary E. Pearson comes a thrilling romantic fantasy full of dangerous fae, dark secrets, and addictive romance. After losing their parents, Bristol Keats and her sisters struggle to stay afloat in their small, quiet town of Bowes Keep. When Bristol begins to receive letters from an aunt she's never heard of, who promises she can help, she reluctantly agrees to meet and discovers that everything she thought she knew about her family was a lie. Even her father might still be alive, not killed, but kidnapped by a terrifying creature to a whole other realm, the one he is from. Desperate to save her father and find the truth, Bristol journeys to a land of gods and fae and monsters. Pulled into a dangerous world of magic and intrigue, she makes a deadly bargain with the Fae King Tygan. But what she doesn't know is that he's the one who drove her parents to a life on the run, and he is just as determined as she is to find her father, dead or alive. Oh, that just sounds so good. Like I said, I'm a really big fan of Mary E. Pearson. I'm so excited for her adult debut. I just really hope to love this. I hope to love this. There's a very pretty special edition on Amazon that I probably need to go pre-order like right now. And yeah, a big anticipated release for me. All right, so that's my list. Is there anything that I missed? I know a lot of you out there are very excited for Brandon Sanderson's newest novel, but I haven't even started The Way of Kings, so I didn't include it on the list. Please tell me your most anticipated books for fall and for the remainder of the year. I would love to know. I made a similar video like this for spring releases, so I'll leave that here in case you want to look and see if there's anything that you missed from earlier in the year. Please like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to see more from me. I hope to see you next time. Bye!